I used to think that it was the big events in life are what changed us. The birth of a child, winning the lottery, losing a parent. I thought that it was the extreme emotions and life changes that we experience that made us different versions of ourselves. It's not wrong, but what I didn't notice were small hints that led up to the big changes. The little things. They're like termites. One, not a problem. But with enough, they can tear a house down. They place ideas in your head, cloud your judgment, and can even turn you into a different person. Whether it be a word, expression, or a name, it can all cause some kind of emotions that people can't explain. In grade 4, all of a sudden, I became a bully. I started fights with people, cussed at my friends, and got angry at the tiniest things. One time, I whacked a kid in the face with a toy car. The kid got a nosebleed, and my parents got called down to the school. I was dismissed early for my actions, and they grew concerned about my sudden change in behavior. I was a nice kid. For most of my time in school, they never got called. Yet, lately, they were getting called almost daily. Nothing seemed wrong to me, so I turned on TV, as usual. My parents watched in horror as I cheerfully watched a man split another man's skull in half. They were shocked to see that I had taken interest in such violent shows. Was this where the violence was coming from? I thought it was stupid. How can a TV show affect how I think? There was something wrong with how I thought. Yet, they thought differently. They realized that there were many things that could have been affecting my behavior. So, they developed a habit of making me share everything that happened every day. After school, they get me to share all the things that made me feel something during that day. They were trying to find the things that affected my behavior, like what kind of things caused the fight, what impacted my mood the most. And it almost always ends up being the little things. On days where I woke up a few minutes late, a debate will more likely turn into an argument. If I fought with my sister in the morning, I'd get into scuffles at school. The following weeks, we learned these little triggers, the little things of how I behave each day. And when you know what you're going to feel, it's easier to decide your reaction. For example, if I know I'm going to be angry, instead of throwing fists and insults, I'll have the idea to simply walk away. The ability to see what was impacting me was enough to start to change for the better. Within a week, I stopped fighting at school. I went back being nice and friendly, no longer trading nosebleeds for weird smiles. I've continued to see the value of tracking these little things as I've grown. However, since I got into an age where I can't tell my parents everything anymore, like who I'm dating and such, I write them down. The little things that angers me, scares me, or makes me happy, I write them down to remember them more clearly. It serves as the alarm for me and helps me to control my emotions better. I once had an opportunity to teach a AP Computer Science 10 course. And on that particular day, I woke up in a bad mood. I had not gotten enough sleep, and I woke up 5 to 6 times in the middle of the night. Immediately, I wrote that down as something that was going to make me less friendly and reasonable today. Sure enough, when I got to school, I found out that I'd been assigned a teaching aide. And this guy was a jerk. He was insufferable. During lessons, he refused to collaborate, he gave random assignments we hadn't prepped for, and he even tried to cut me out of the group, even though he was my teaching aide. Within 15 minutes, I was livid. I walked over to him and I said, "Hey, what are you doing?" And he looked at me and he said, I've taken the AP course and you haven't, so. Note that I was already deemed more than qualified to teach a class. And in that brief moment, I considered taking a laptop and slamming it in his smug face. Luckily, I had taken note of the state I was in. I knew I didn't get enough sleep, and I woke up 5 to 6 times in the middle of the night. So I was going to be more responsive to these things. So with that in mind, I took control of myself, and I told him to walk away. Writing down the little things saved me from a possible suspension because it affects people in the small moments. It helps you to keep your cool, stay motivated, be positive, and be your better self. Writing them down is like a reminder that, oh, this happened, so I should be more careful of my actions. Another example, where you play a cooperative video game. Games where you have to rely on a teammate are the ones to really test your patience. If you're playing one-on-one and you lose, you have no one to blame but yourself. However, in co-op, there is always someone there to blame. I used to play such a game with my friend. It was called Fireboy and Water Girl. The goal of the game was to navigate through a series of puzzles without dying under a time limit. And every single time, if I was even a millisecond late, he would go, like a 3-year-old, "Hurry up, hurry up, hurry up." And every time he says it, it ticks me off a bit, to the point where I eventually have to punch him in the arm just so he shut up. However, ever since then, when I took note of this trigger, I know exactly how many times I have to endure him before I eventually commit assault and battery. So, writing down the little things actually do make a big difference. They're like a snowball rolling down a hill. It may start off small, but can end up massive enough to cause serious damage. If you know what your little things are, you can decide where that snowball goes, or if it even forms at all. So, I like to challenge all of you. Write down the little things in your life. Because once you start to note the little things, you start to influence them. For me, it helps to keep my temper in check. For you, it might help staying calm in stressful situations, keeping your cool when the pressure's on, or staying positive when life gets you down. So although we may think that the big events and the big changes are the biggest impactor in our lives, don't forget the little stuff. Because it's hard to be the big person when you let the little stuff get to you.